but I don't think you're really that real of people. I don't think you've watched Bobby Poff. I think this is manufactured rage. It's upsetting that you guys carry all this vitriol and this anger, and my guess is a lot of it's fabricated, and a lot of you guys are just trolls on multiple accounts saying this stuff. Do any of the failed streamers and content creators or members of the troll industrial complex that are going after Bobby Poff in his first week after being banned? Isn't it weird that y'all don't have like a following and like you don't have a bunch of paid subscribers? Seems kind of odd that a bunch of you guys are really pissed off that he makes a good living streaming. I don't like people cheating either, but I've watched him a lot. He's a grinder. He grinds for hours. I haven't seen blatant cheating. Otherwise, I probably would have stopped watching him a long time ago. He has earned enough respect with me to give him some grace to try to unearth what's happened. But I'll tell you this, the gaming industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Then there's this new subset of industries that have kind of blossomed from the new gaming industry, newer. And cheating is a big industry within the gaming industry. Anytime we're talking about billions of dollars, you know that these multinational corporations who have shown their malfeasance will, in all the other industries, will get involved here just as well. What I've seen is that Russia and China, but specifically Russia is more visible to me. Russia has spent a lot of money on paying off our elected officials. They've paid off a lot of social media content creators, and they don't really have much of a strategy besides just causing chaos. So it's not shocking to see an independent social media personality gamer like Bobby Poff being targeted. I mean, I watched him get stream sniped and hacked on every night leading up to his ban. Like, it was infuriating for me just as a viewer to watch. To him get hacked on, all these new cheats, an unregulated new industry, and we are in the environment where there's a lot of political upheaval and chaos as well. So my guess is that it's just Russian misinformation, but they probably use some advanced technology to have a third party put something on his computer. They know that he's not super tech savvy. They know that he's independent, and he's going to be a problem for all these other agencies that have control all over these other creators. Like, they're not going to be able to control him in the future if he gets any bigger. You know, get him involved with an agency that can control him now by curtailing his popularity. I'm just throwing this out there, but I think billionaires don't want you to think that you can be a Bobby Poff. They want you to think you have to be a part of an agency, or to think that you can't even do it at all. They want you to be an employee. They don't want you to be a business owner. Bobby Poff is a business owner. His family were business owners. They taught him to be a business owner. He treats it like a business. A lot of people who make a ton of money in this industry, that probably pisses them off. It blows their model away. Like, to say to an individual, hey, you can go be Bobby Poff, maybe. If you tell a whole population that, they're gonna have a different outlook on life. That's gonna have a different energy. But if you send a message like, good luck with that, it's saturated, you don't stand a chance, you're nothing special. And that's all these people are saying in these comments, like, oh, you're not even good, you're miserable without the cheats and stuff. I didn't really see gameplay off him that screamed cheating. Every once in a while, even as a 1 KD player, I'll do something that's completely sus. And I'm on console, 1 KD. And I don't even play professionally. I want to be side hustle or a hobby. I'd say give him the benefit of the doubt, let him prove his case. It'd be upsetting if I found out somebody that I look up to in the gaming community was a cheater, and I know that's bound to happen. I know a lot of people do cheat, but I just don't see enough evidence to make a determination or to be judgmental in this case, especially when I see hurricanes as a result of climate change. The severity of these storms is exacerbated by, climate change, and then politicians' denial of climate change. I think y'all should be more upset about the storms, causing 3 million people to not have power today. That's what I think you should be concerned about, not Bobby Poff making, X amount of dollars versus another amount of dollars. That just seems silly. People are dying in Ukraine and Gaza and Israel. Y'all seem to be more upset about somebody who's cheating in a video game than you are upset about how authoritarians are trying to collaborate with billionaire oligarchs all around the world to try to push all the nations into autocracy. I think you should be upset about that, or at least at the bare minimum, be upset about how corporations exploit prison labor here, or be upset about how systemic racism is still prevalent in the United States in 2024, or be upset how multinational corporations up the cost on inflation for us when we were going through a pandemic that the Republicans called a hoax. A lot of people died from that. I think they totally manipulated the situation with the attempted assassinations. The attempted assassinations, I think, were complete bullshit. I think Putin also knows that he can strike at our hearts and our psyche by, attacking somebody like Bobby Poff. And I don't think it would cost him that much money to find somebody. Anytime the FSB is involved, the access to technology that you need to pull off certain things is not a problem. Like, they are masters at deception. And I personally think somebody got paid $500 to put something on his computer knowing that it would get him banned, because he was getting hacked on by some pretty sophisticated cheaters leading up to that ban. And my guess is they were paid $500 because Bobby Poff was targeted because he's independent. Somebody was paid $500 to put something on there. They knew that once you get a legit ban from Activision, Activision's not really going to go back on that. And then that's going to create kind of like this half-truth atmosphere where they could take the legitimacy of that legitimate ban, even though it was done illegitimately. They'll take the legitimacy of that ban and then create this whole narrative using these paid-off creators who are invested in by these foreign adversaries just to create chaos and just to create misinformation, to divide, to frustrate. Russians are really good at knowing what hurts you the most internally and psychologically, and then exploiting the shit out of that. That's why I've seen this before. You wouldn't think it's so wild. You're like, fuck you, Ethan. This guy's such a fucking loser. He's fucking lost his goddamn mind. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. But just do me a favor. And the whole Hillary thing, she was doing okay up until misinformation was spread from an FBI informant, last name Smirnoff. And I've talked about this in videos before, but you can't write this shit. You would get laughed off stage if you tried to talk about this to the general public. A Russian asset being used by the FBI with the last name Smirnoff spread misinformation at the exact proper time. They worked in cahoots with Cambridge Analytica to make sure that it hit everybody. Nobody had time to react, and all of a sudden you got a Trump presidency. And that's when all these multinational corporations and foreign adversaries swooped in. They allowed Russians into our Oval Office day one. Trump, no Americans watching, he invited 2 high-ranking Russian officials into the office day one. It was he's like, oh, the one ambassador that's getting in between you and taking Ukraine, let's get him out of here, just pluck him. Who cares about history? Who cares about any nuance? Who cares about any sort of agreements between allies? Who cares about what's right and wrong? Just fucking do it. He's so lowbrow. He's so low operating that he's willing just to do these off-the-cuff decisions that he makes have such magnitude. They cause such a wake of disaster. He doesn't even realize it. And if he does, when he does realize it, and he goes to, control his image versus going to actually, help the problem, he's like, fuck him. That's just not a leader. Everything he does hurts people. Everything he says is a lie. And Putin wants to see somebody like that running the United States because he wants to weaken the fuck out of us because we're a superpower. Us and NATO, Russia has a fucking problem with that. You know, all these billionaire oligarchs, unfortunately, I believe that some of them may just be pragmatic, but some of them, they have some pretty evil intentions. My guess is this is one of the many psychological operations or campaigns that are run through the gaming and cheating industry to wage war on us psychologically. Any of the thousands of people that liked watching Bobby Poff and get some sort of mental health boost from his existence, they know that if they attack that just takes one more thing of comfort away from us. Like if we don't have as much anxiety when we see Bobby Poff going to the moon, and it takes us, you know, away temporarily from our reality that might be tough right now, you know, if they take that away, I would say that that's strategically important to affect the psychology and the psyche of, you know, thousands, hundreds of thousands of Americans. Yeah, with $500, I could spend $500 to do that. How the fuck wouldn't I do that if I were them? You know, but the reason why is because I have empathy and I wouldn't try to be destroying people. If I were in positions of power like Putin or like Trump wants to be, I would be looking for constructive ways to better society. I wouldn't be looking for ways to just enrich myself. I think it's fucking insane that we allow those people to have platforms. You're calling for Bobby Poff to not have a platform? Fuck that. The people who are trying to take all the platforms, I believe, put out a fucking hit on him in one way or another. But I believe that to not be what you think it is. Believe none of what you see and half of what you hear. Wait for the truth to come out. But I don't think you should be so quick to judge people that are just trying to make a living for themselves. I think you should be quick to judge people who are using elected positions of authority to bring ruin to certain subgroups, whether it be minorities. They're picking on immigrants, they're picking on LGBT, they're picking on women. If you can't see this, I don't know. I honestly think that you must be just one of those types of authoritarian type people who want to have other people living under your thumb. And just because you don't have the power to put them under the thumb now doesn't make you less shitty. And I just see that in the comments of these pages that are trying to expose Bobby Poff. I've watched him a lot. I don't think he's a cheater. And if he is, and if he is proved to be, then I was wrong on that. But it doesn't change the fact that the troll industrial complex has been deployed to try to take democracy out of Americans' hands. I think this is one of many psychological operations that is pretty low cost to do, and they have the technology to do it. It's all about psychological cyber warfare. And I think that's what we're engaged in right here. I think he's a funny guy. I think he's got good business acumen. I think he's good at the game. I don't necessarily think he's a cheater. I think there's a lot of people who do cheat. I don't think he'd risk everything that he has for a fucking unlock tool. And I didn't really get the vibe that he was walling while I was spectating him. Like, you know, you get that feeling when you're like, oh, that person's fucking walling. And I'm not just talking about in kill cams. I'm talking about spectating for a long period of time, or even watching a stream for hours. Yeah, I don't see it. I'm not quick to judge Bobby in this case. I am quick to judge MAGA. I'm quick to judge the Federalist Society. I'm quick to judge Putin. I'm quick to judge Heritage Foundation, Alliance Defending Freedom. I'm quick to judge those folks because I know what they've done. Bobby doesn't have that history. He's been there for his community. He cares about his community. He engages with his community. He seems to like his community. He may not like playing the game right now because it's, you know, wrought with hackers and cheaters, and it's frustrating. But I think all the more reason to give him the benefit of the doubt. I was watching him getting hacked on right and left.